They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And I just want to quickly apologize for missing yesterday's video. I just had a couple of things going on in my life. Got a little too busy to have time to record a video yesterday. But, that's the first miss since I've committed to uploading, to this consistent upload schedule. So, went on for a pretty long time, and I'm still committed to giving you guys 5 days a week. We'll probably make that video up, and I'll upload next Tuesday when I normally wouldn't. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into the topic for today. So I, like many other people, have started to try my hand at the stock market this week. There's been, I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware, in the US there's been a big boom in all sorts of stock prices, and things are kind of going crazy on Wall Street right now. And even before all that happened, I started getting into this thing called NBA Top Shot, which, if you haven't heard of it, it's kind of like virtual trading cards, basically, where you buy moments from certain players, and then you can buy them for a certain price, and they might go up or down in value depending on how much someone's willing to pay for them, and you can buy packs and pull really rare moments and stuff. And so that's kind of almost sort of stocks for NBA players, because if you want to buy a player who you think is gonna get a lot better and maybe win an award this year or start to improve, buy one of the younger players and stuff, and you hold that moment, and then maybe one day if that player starts to perform a lot better, it'll go up in value and you made yourself some cash, right? So with that combined with the actual stock market stuff going on this week, I wanted to take a look at some NBA players that I'm investing stock in. I have a couple of young players here. We're going to go through 5 guys around the NBA that I believe are going to either have a really good season this year or end up being really good. And yeah, these are the guys that I am buying stock in. So yeah, the first guy, you see him in the background, you see him over that way. It's Mikhail Bridges, and he's pointing up because his stock is going up right now. This is a guy who I've believed in for his entire career. I've really liked watching him, and I think now that he's actually playing on a pretty good Suns team, this is his year to really pop and go for it. We saw some flashes of this in the bubble, where he played really well when the Suns went undefeated, won 8-0, and it was awesome watching him play then, and he's just continued that into this year. He's bumped up pretty much all of his averages, averaging around 15 points per game this year. His shooting numbers are amazing right now, shooting 43% from 3, up from 36 last year, so his three-pointers have gone up. He's taking more attempts per game, all that stuff. So he is really becoming a 3-and-D type of player, but even more than the 3-and-D, right? Because he doesn't just take three-pointers. He's lots of, he can move off the ball, he can get into the lane and take those mid-rangers and dunk on you because he's got those crazy long arms and he's pretty athletic. Mikal Bridges is definitely a guy who I really like, and like I said, especially playing on a Suns team that's going to be good this year. The first time in his career that he's going to be playing on a team that's really competing for something. I think we're going to see him continue to just play better and better, especially with a guy like Chris Paul on his team and Devin Booker getting better and all that stuff. Mikal Bridges is definitely a guy that I'm investing in moving forward. I've liked him for his entire career, and I'm just expecting that'll continue. I think he's going to be one of my favorite players in the league for his entire career. So this next one is a pretty popular pick at the moment, but that's not going to deter me from buying stock in him, because Christian Wood is having an all-star caliber season. I haven't really gone through and made all-star picks yet. I know that's kind of the topic of the week because all-star balloting is starting. But if I did, I'd probably honestly put Christian Wood on my ballot. I think he's been that good, and he's been a huge factor in the Rockets actually being really competitive. Even since the James Harden trade, the Rockets, I think, are going to continue to be one of the most underrated teams in the entire league. People kind of just look at it and be like, oh, they traded James Harden and they're going to be tanking. But realistically, looking at this roster, they got a lot of good players, and Christian Wood is one of them. He's averaging 23.5 points per game. He's a legit stretch big. He's playing that center position this year and shooting 35% from 3, which is amazing for a guy at his position and all that stuff. And it's on a decent volume of them as well. So Christian Wood is a guy who has been awesome on defense, has been awesome scoring the ball, has, like I said, stretches out to the three-point line. He's perfect for the modern NBA. He's totally transformed his game, over the past couple of years, being a guy who was, out of the league, borderline out of the league, and then on the Pistons, he played really well last season, and now on the Rockets, under Coach Steven Silas and playing for a winning culture and a good team, he has definitely popped this year, and I think that'll continue. Would not be surprised to see him in the All-Star game this season, and I think, he's only 25 years old, so there's going to be a lot of years left of Christian Wood, and already that contract that Houston got him on is looking like a steal. And really, the Rockets are just one of the most fun teams in the league right now, and I never thought I would have been saying that a year ago, because they used to have Harden and Russell Westbrook, which are two of the players that I am personally not a huge fan of, but now they've totally overhauled the roster, and I just love what the Rockets are doing, and Christian Wood especially. So if you had DAndre Hunter averaging 17 points per game on your bingo card this season, congratulations, you win. Because I don't think really anybody saw this coming. For a guy who was drafted so highly, for a lot of people, he sort of underwhelmed his rookie year, and I never really got it because he was playing on a pretty bad team, getting a lot of opportunity and shots, and as a rookie, that's just kind of tough to be thrust into a huge role like that. But this year, now that the Hawks are, at least a little more competitive, he has shown that, he's clearly ready to be in this role. He's averaging, like I said, 17 points a game on good efficiency, 51% from the field and 36% from three. Those are very respectable numbers for a guy at his age and his position. I think he's been pretty good on defense. He's been a guy who has just really thrived in his accelerated role this year, and he's been very key to the Hawks' success so far this season. He does these little these floaters and these layups. He can get in the lane. Like I said, he can shoot from three. He's just an overall a very well-rounded player, and he's ready for this NBA game. He's 23 years old. He's a guy who spent a couple of years in college, so he is showing that he is a little bit more ready for the NBA than some of the other guys who were drafted last year and who have kind of struggled so far, namely his teammate Cam Reddish, who is a couple years younger, and so it's taking him a little longer to adjust. But Hunter is a guy who's ready to play right now, and he is playing a huge role on the Hawks, especially because they've had so many injuries to deal with Bogdanovic going out, Gallinari missing time, Rondo has missed games here and there, right? So the Hawks have had guys going out, and DAndre Hunter has definitely stepped up. He started every game this year, and only in his second season. I think this is a guy who, he might not ever be an all-star, but just an overall very well-rounded, very solid guy, and that's exactly what the Hawks need to put next to Trae Young. So Keldon Johnson wins the award for coming out of nowhere and being really good, because with most of these other guys, these are second and third year players or guys in a new situation where it's okay, they're gonna have more touches, have a bigger role as they get older and progress and stuff. Keldon Johnson, yes, he is in his second year, but people weren't really expecting him to play this much already, considering he only played 17 games his rookie year. Spent a lot of time, on the end of the bench and in the G League, and didn't really get much action. But the Spurs culture has absolutely paid off for him. He has totally popped. He started every single game so far this year, 19 games. He's averaging around 15 points in those games on respectable efficiency. It's 35% from three, about 48% from the floor. Those are not amazing numbers. Could be better, but very good for a guy who was drafted late in the first round and didn't really play his first season, right? Also, on good defense, he's a guy who has a lot of size for his position. He can he's like a big guy, so he can kind of get in the way and all that stuff. So Keldon Johnson is a very interesting one because not very many people were expecting him to even really play that much, but he's had a key role in the Spurs rotation. 31 minutes per game; those are absolutely starter level minutes. So Keldon Johnson is a guy who, while not very many people know him right now because the Spurs aren't getting a lot of coverage this season, even though they've actually been really good so far, surprisingly so, and he's been, part of that. But yeah, I think this is a guy who's just going to continue to get better, and the Spurs have found another gem here. And then last up, I have the other Bridges. I don't know if you caught the Freudian slip earlier, but I said Miles by mistake. And I'm actually going to talk about him here because the other Bridges, side note, I thought these guys were brothers when they were in the draft, and I was very surprised when I learned that they weren't, because it's two M Bridges. I guess, that's kind of just an interesting thing that two lottery picks in the same draft had the same last name and the same first name starts with the same letter. But anyway, that's kind of off topic. But Miles Bridges in his own right has been also a guy who, while this year his numbers are down, I don't think that that's indicative of him taking a step back. I think it's just because he's splitting minutes with Gordon Hayward now. Obviously, LaMelo Ball's on this team, so he's adjusting to a new role. It's a little bit lesser of a role for him because he's coming off the bench where he started most of last season. But Miles Bridges is a guy who I have always believed in. I believed in him in the draft also, along with the other Bridges in that year. And through the first couple years of his career, he's definitely a very different player. He's more of a run, jump, and dunk guy. He's very athletic. He can get up. He's very strong. He's a big body. He's hard to move on defense. He's not like an amazing defender, but he can be kind of a guy that bodies up to you sometimes. His shooting numbers are better this year, you know, across the board. 45% from the floor and 38% from three. Not particularly impressive, but you know, it's good enough. It'll get you by. And he's, you know, he's just an overall solid player. And I think while like I said with some of the other guys here, I don't know if he'll ever make an all-star team, but he's a guy I want on my team. He's a glue guy. He's super athletic. I think he's a smart player. I think he knows what to do. And so Mikal Bridges, give me both of the Bridges, not the Bridges brothers, but both of the Bridges from the, what was that, 2017 draft, 2018 draft, I guess 2018, yeah. So the 2018 draft, both of those Bridges are guys that I'm buying stock in right now. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think about that. I think this was kind of fun with all the stock thing going on. These are the players that I'm buying stock in, and you should buy their moments on NBA Top Shot because one day they might be worth a lot of money. Who knows? And I am not a financial advice guy, but also buy Dogecoin because it's hilarious. And buy Dogecoin, but don't take financial advice from me. But buy Dogecoin because it's funny. And don't spend all your money, but spend however much you want to. Anyway, like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell. Like I said, leave in the comments, what are some players that you guys are buying stock in? Who do you think is going to get a lot better over the next year and over the next couple? But yeah, with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.